So good morning to everybody that has joined us already. Welcome to our weekly section. Today we're doing Ask the Lender. There's been a lot, and when I say a lot of questions and a lot of anxiety. We have an anxiety market, I call it, about the depletion of the funds for hometown heroes. And while everybody is freaking out because hometown heroes are out of money, I reached out to my team at CMG. I'm like, we got money. We have the same if not better program for buyer assistance. And I'm like, well, how come nobody's talking about it? And it's like, well, because people just, focus on one thing and one thing only. So I reached out to Ruben. I said, well, let's do this thing on Thursday. Let's talk about this. That's not a secret. It's a program that's been around forever called Chinoy, which is a buyer's assistant program. And let's break down what it is, what is not, and how is it that buyers can take advantage of it. First of all, if you want to introduce yourself, Ruben, and then introduce, I think some of your team members are here.
Yep. Well, thank you again for having us on, Ernesto. My name is Ruben Crispino. I'm the Intergalactic Manager of CMG Home Loans, as you call me. We are the 5th largest lender in the country, soon to be 4th, I hope, with your help. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about Chinoa today. On the call with us today, we have my partner in crime, Ed Garrity. He is going to be discussing most of the details of Chinoa. We have Anibal Torres, one of our loan officers. You can wave, I can see you. There he is. And we have Yader Vargas. I'm not sure if we have anybody else on it. I can't see. Yader's not showing his photo, so I guess I'm assuming he's and Leo's on there somewhere. Good. So we got a good group from CMG ready to assist you on this program. In general, exactly what you said is true. The money from Hometown Heroes has dried up. We don't know if it's going to be replenished. We expect it to be replenished, but nobody knows when and how much and that time frame. But the Chinoa program has been around for a long time, and it was a very difficult program to work with for many years. So we kind of stayed away from it a little bit. But the process has been really made easier for us to actually do quite a bit of it. We're doing quite a bit of it. Even when the Hometown Hero program was still available, we were still doing Chinoa because it does offer other options. For example, you don't have to be a first-time home buyer, and you also don't have a DTI as tough as a DTI restriction. But Ed, I'm going to turn it over to you. Go ahead and inform them about everything Chinoa.
So before we go to that, let's break down what is a down payment assistance, because most people, I think, are not getting it, are not grasping the fact that if you have a first time home buyer whose the whole desire is to buy a home, that there's different programs out there, this being one of them, that can assist if they with the down payment. So which one of the gang wants to take on that answer? Break down what is a down payment assistance and what is not.
Ed, go ahead. That's all you.
Well, down payment assistance is really kind of exactly what it sounds like. We'll use FHA for an example. If you have to put down 3.5% for an FHA mortgage, Chinoa, for example, has 2 options. They will give you assistance of 3.5%. So basically your down payment is covered. And they also have another option that goes up to 5%. So not only is your 3.5% down payment covered, but there's another 1.5% there that will help with your closing costs. So, is that going to cover everything? Probably not. But it's pretty darn close, and then you can compare that to Hometown Heroes, for example, which was giving you, 5% up to $35,000. So again, like similar to Chinoa, giving you the 5%, again, part covering down payment, part covering closing costs. But, even there, was it covering everything? And, in a lot of cases, not everything, but again, pretty darn close. So
Right. So
there
then
is,
down payment assistance is what it says. As if you want to buy a property, and then my camera
Mhm.
went black. If you want to buy a property, if you're interested in buying a property and you are short on the down payment, there are programs, including Chinoy, which you're talking about today, that can help you acquire that property.
Right. So it's basically like 100% financing, if you think about it, because the 3.5 down payment that you need is being covered, and then there's the bond versions too, like e-housing, even though they don't have hometown heroes anymore, they still have some DPA assistance there. Some of it is county specific, some of it is just, in general. But they have like a $10,000 assistance program, a $15,000 assistance program. But the limitations with e-housing, like Ruben was saying, is you have to be a first-time home buyer. There's debt ratio limitations, and there's also income restrictions. A lot of that is you have to be under 80% of what Fannie Mae calls the area median income. And if you're looking at a house, in our typical market, $400,000 roughly, the area median income limit is in most cases like 70,000. You need more to qualify than 70,000 to buy that home. So a lot of those median income limits, are just kind of squashing the people from buying and using that assistance anyway. So Chinoa does not have income limits. You do not have to be a first-time home buyer, and the DTI restrictions are whatever we get through DU. So basically, there's no restrictions. If we get an FHA approval through DU, you are eligible for Chinoa pretty much. There's almost nothing that's holding it back.
Okay, so then this is the most reasonable alternative to the Hometown Heroes onto whenever Hometown Heroes gets refunded, which nobody knows.
Yeah, exactly. They haven't, put out a date, a number, kind of like it happened last time. We're all sitting there, okay, when, where, we don't know.
All right, so then let me break this down simpler. Let me take it down simpler. And I got a buyer, single family. It's a buyer. They want to buy a property. This is going to be their first home. They're looking. So one of the beautiful things, and I think I shared this yesterday, is uh, everybody talks about spring always being the season for home buying. I think the fall this year is going to be the season for home buyers because the access of inventory and the access of rates are at a place that they haven't been in about 2 years. So fall is going to be the season. So thankfully, we have over 2,000 homes for sale just in Dade County, single family homes that fall under the FHA. So they're looking at a house, $630,000 amount they're showing on property. They're tight on cash because they rented for 2 years waiting for prices to come down. Prices never came down. So now they have a little bit less cash put aside. We're looking at a house for 630. We're going to need 20 grand down payment because they don't have enough. How does this program help that family and what would it cost them
So
extra?
again, I'll go back to the Chinoa 5% down payment assistance version. Okay. So they need 3.5% down, right? We know the FHA limit for our area is 621, I believe it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they're buying, if they're not way over the limit, you're looking at your regular FHA 3.5% down. Chinoa is going to give them 5%. So the down payment is covered, and they're going to get another 1.5%. So just $600,000 home, they're getting another $9,000 towards their closing costs.
So they're getting a $31,000 assistance from this program.
Yeah, right. So down payment's covered, closing costs are pretty much all covered. If they have, some money in the bank, there's the extra that's needed. Or if you can get another, 1 or 2% from the seller, you're done. You can literally get somebody in the home for no money out of their pocket.
Okay. So what is it going to cost me? Fantastic, Ernesto.
So-
You get me $32,000 to buy a house. Ernesto, if our firstborn, will name it after you. We're gonna name him Ernesto, if not Ed. But what is this 30 grand gonna cost me?
Right. So sounds good, but what's the catch, right?
Yes.
So with Chinoa, they have two versions of the program. They do have a forgivable down payment assistance version, but it comes with a higher rate. So right now, that rate is probably mid sevens. Okay. So they're going to give you the 3.5%. The 5% version of that, the rate is too high and there's points, so it's almost not even worth looking at it. So
Okay.
the forgivable version, we'll say right now, we'll give them 3.5%, and that is forgivable after 5 years. It kind of diminishes after 5 years. The
So
version that we're
you
using,
gave away my surprise, the forgivable part, but okay.
yeah. So there is a forgivable version, but it comes with a higher rate. The one that we're using mostly with Genoa is
But what is your definition of a higher rate?
right now that is mid to upper sevens. So
Okay,
seven and a half to seven and three
let's go
quarters.
7.2. Leo, I think you need to mute because you're okay. So okay, I'm gonna have to mute him because I think he's
Mhm.
all right. Okay, there you go. Okay, so Ed, I got this buyer. We looked at a house. We found a beautiful house in Miami Gardens. $600,000. We're getting a 5%, and he loved the idea because I think, and I know there's a lot of questions, teams. I'll go to the questions that closer to the end. They know that it's forgivable after 5 years, which means it's free, gratis, no dinero, no tienen que pagarlo, no, right? But if I do the math, the simple Cuban method, I'm looking at $200 a month extra for $31,000 that is free
For
in
the
5 years.
higher rate you're talking about.
Yeah, but if the difference on such little money, the difference is $30 a month.
You're not paying any money on the money.
Well, you're getting a higher rate on your first mortgage.
On the
So
first,
you are paying,
there is no payment on the second.
No?
Nope.
not with that version, no.
So it's zero.
Yeah,
The additional money is zero. All you're paying is a higher rate
yeah.
on the full amount.
On the first
On the
mortgage.
full amount. Got
Mhm.
it. Okay, so it's okay. That was see. This is what happens. I went to the website. I read it, and I was wrong. So I'm glad that I got the entire Cash Money Gangster squad with me here to keep me straight. All right. So no. So it's the entire life of the loan that is well, not the life. You can refinance it to 5 years.
Correct.
True.
Okay. So if you don't want to go forgivable and you want to pay it off and pay it off, it becomes a silent second.
Not a silent second, it's a repayable second. Okay, so it's a second mortgage, and it is repayable on a 10-year term at the same interest rate as the first. But that version comes with a little bit lower rate. So right now that's running 7 to 7.25, depending on the credit score. So it's about 0.5% lower in the interest rate. But you are repaying the second, and we have to qualify with the second payment. It's not a big.
It's $300 a month.
Yeah, right. Not a huge number because it's a small loan amount.
Yeah.
But it is a 10-year term. Remember, it's not stretched out over 30 years.
Yeah. I'm doing a 10-year term. It's $300.
Yeah.
$300 a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So
typically
you're telling me
that
my buyers who have some money saved up can get a 5% down that they gotta pay back in 10 years, right? And it's only cost them $300 a month.
Yeah. And now typically, like, let's look at what's going on in our world today, right? Rates are coming down. Do you think they're going to have that loan for 10 years?
No.
They're going to be refinancing probably, within
the next 2 years.
Yeah. So even though they may be getting it today at, let's say 7.25, and they've got that second mortgage, within 12 to 24 months, we're going to be refinancing. We're going to be consolidating those two loans and maybe putting them into a conventional loan and taking them out of PMI, or getting them a reduced PMI. So either way, again, they're just, borrowing that rate for a little while. They're going to get out of it.
Okay.
They're not married to that.
So Ed, the other question that I had was, you keep saying first-time home buyer. So is this an FHA only product?
Genoa is FHA only, but you do not have to be a first-time home buyer for Genoa. Unlike Hometown Heroes, you had to be a first-time home buyer. Genoa does not have that restriction.
But only FHA home.
Yeah, and I want to keep saying, like I always, FHA is not just for first-time home buyers, people.
Yeah.
It's not just for first-time home buyers. FHA, you can use it as many times you want. Okay, I want everybody to know that FHA is not first-time home buyer. It's for everybody.
Got it. Okay, so I know there's some questions. Let me go to the questions before I continue with mine. So I think Layla's question was, can it be used for a conventional loan? No, Layla, you gotta do FHA, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. And then what are the requirements? Because that confused me too, and I'm glad Chirina's asking that question. What were the requirements again for it to be forgiven? So if I'm gonna take the 30 grand and I want to be, you know what, I'd rather pay a little more a month, but I want it to be forgiven. Any other requirements than the higher rate?
That it has to it only starts being forgiven after 5 years and it diminishes. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's not just forgiven automatically. There is a time period that you have to have it, 5 years, and then I believe it diminishes 20% per year after that. So
in 10 years is gone.
yeah, but if you're refinancing within 12 months, you're paying it back anyway. So it's still going to be there as a second lien, silent second that has to be repaid back.
Para todos aquellos que me están oyendo y tienen una pregunta en español, pueden hacer también la pregunta en español. Ed habla español perfectamente, right, Ed?
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay.
But I'm working on it.
You're working on it. Jazz, you had a question. ¿Tienes una pregunta? Jazz.
Sí. Buenos días. ¿Cuánto es lo máximo de puntos que puedo, eso es en general, cuánto es el máximo de puntos que le puedo otorgar si tengo un listing y la persona viene y se califica con mi banco, el comprador? ¿Cuánto le puedo otorgar a ese comprador de puntos y qué, más o menos qué precio tendría el punto en dólares?
El vendedor puede, me estás preguntando de cuánto puede pagar el vendedor, ¿no? Esa es la pregunta.
Exacto, para incentivar al comprador que venga a mi
Bueno,
listing y dándole
right.
puntos.
So, depende del tipo de programa. En FHA es diferente de convencional. En convencional, si tiene una entrada de un 5% o menos, es un 3%. Si llega a un 10% de entrada o más, puede llegar a 6%. En FHA es 6%. ¿Me entendiste? 6% por lo general, pero en convencional, si la entrada del comprador es 5% o mejor dicho, menos de 10, baja 3%.
Ok, ¿y eso en dólares aproximadamente cuánto sería?
Bueno, depende del precio de casa.
Para un listing de 550.
Bueno, va a depender del préstamo, no de eso, pero es un 3%
Ok.
del loan amount. Eso no, el costo no tiene que ver nada, el costo es basado totalmente en el loan amount, es un porcentaje del loan amount.
Ok, que tú me estás diciendo, o sea, yo le puedo dar máximo al comprador, dependiendo del tipo de préstamo y todo, hasta un 3% o un 6%, right?
Correcto, yes.
Pero, por ejemplo, yo le digo, ok, vamos a incentivar este listing dándole, si se califican con mi banco, dándole 1 o 2 puntos de lo que es interés. Igual, ¿vale la fórmula del 3% o ahí hay un máximo de puntos que yo le pudiera dar, bajar?
Hasta 6% puede dar. Pero ya tenemos un programa específicamente para eso que se llama el List and Lock. Es buenísimo porque no solamente lo paga su vendedor, pero nosotros como compañía podemos participar también. So, si haces el List and Lock con nosotros, le va a salir más barato a tu cliente. So, por ejemplo, en vez de pagar 3, puede ser que paguen 2 y nosotros 1. Es tremendo programa.
Ok, sí, porque está un poquito, y tengo un condo también que lo estoy tratando de mirar a ver qué incentivo doy. Eso sí tiene que entrar con el 25-30% porque no tiene reservas.
Sí.
Dale,
Lo único
ok,
que el List and Lock no trabaja en los préstamos jumbo ni en los, por ejemplo, los préstamos bank statement. Solamente son para lo que se llama agency loans.
ok, dale, thank you.
Llámame si tienes preguntas.
Definitivamente.
Okay.
Gracias.
Ok, tengo una pregunta. María Silva está preguntando, Rubén, ¿cómo se llama? List and lock?
List and lock. Yep.
List and lock, ok. So, Leo, cuando tengas un chance, le doy una llamadita a María Silvia sobre eso, sobre list and lock. Ok, so ahora vuelvo yo. I was looking, and everybody knows me, I love to look at numbers and see. So I was looking at rent increase in South Florida since the year 2000. And I know that that seems like a long time away, but you know. So rent in South Florida have increased 139% since the year 2000.
Wow.
Now, the funny thing is that everybody that has bought a house since then, outside from having close to $600,000 in appreciation, has had a fixed payment for those 20 years. Because no matter what the rate you pay, you had a fixed payment. However, if you were a tenant, and a lot of you have a lot of people that are renters, and I think they're renters because they need to sit down and understand the upside of becoming homeowners. And that's why this down payment assistance program is something that I wanted to talk about, because this is something that we need to educate buyers, specifically Hispanic buyers, on building wealth for the next generation. If you have been renting a home for the past 20 years, your rent payment has gone up 139%. There's nothing that can there's no way to to hedge against such an increase. So let's try to educate the community, specifically the Hispanic community, on becoming homeowners. Now, on this Chinoy program, you gotta qualify the same way you qualify for an FHA loan, same ratios, everything is the same. There's nothing specific. You don't need to be 7 feet tall, and you know there's not any different requirement, guys.
It helps to be 7 feet tall because then you're probably making a nice MBA salary, but no, you don't have to be.
Okay.
The only restriction they have that I really am aware of is a credit score, 600 minimum. Whereas like we would go to 580 on a regular FHA. Chinoa does require 600.
Okay, 600 is not a big big difference.
Not a hard target.
Okay. And does Chinoa, can this be used? One of the questions I'm getting asked is, can they be used for condos?
Yes. Providing it's you have to have an FHA approval on the condo development, which are far and few in between lately, or we could do a single unit approval as well, and that would still work for Chinoa.
Okay. Can I use this for new construction?
Yes. Yeah, I believe so. I'll say 95% sure that it is, if I remember the guide correctly.
Okay, can I use this for a duplex?
I don't know if they go 2-unit. That I would have to check.
Okay. Okay. All right.
But I actually do. I'm pretty sure you can. I think it's allowed up to 4-unit.
I'm looking at it right now. You can.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
Well,
right,
remember,
so
on FHA, on a duplex, triplex, or fourplex, you have to live in one of the units. It has to be a primary residence. Okay, that's the big thing with FHA. Everybody thinks it's for first-time home buyers. It's not. But it is for primary homes. The person must live in the property or in one of the units if it's multi-unit.
Right. So think about that. You could be buying a 4-unit property, right? Use Chinoa. So basically you're getting it for almost no money out of your pocket, and you get 3 investment units.
No, I'm thinking, I was just looking, there's very nice duplexes in Hollywood, 3-bedroom, 2 baths each side for about 300,000, for 700,000. They're renting for 3,000 a month each side. Mm-hmm. So I'm just doing the math, and it's 4,700 a month on mortgage payment, and you're collecting 3,000 from one side, and you live in the other side.
Right.
So I don't know where you can find a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home East 95 for $1,000. I don't think that exists anywhere. So it's a huge, yeah.
And the rent from the second unit counts as qualifying income to offset the PITI. So.
Oh, get out.
For sure.
For FHA, yeah. Conventional, there's restrictions now. You have to have landlord experience, but for FHA, you could still use the rent from the other unit to help with your qualifying.
Okay, so did everybody hear what we just talked about? Because I think that should perk everybody's ears up, and I'll repeat it in Spanish after. If you are working with a buyer for us, you buy a duplex, which between 700,000, there's a ton of them between Dania and Hollywood and Hallandale, right? Those are renting for the 3-bedroom units are renting for about $3,000 a month. Those $3,000, which is $36,000, is extra income that helps you qualify for the loan. You get the down payment from Chinoy, and your mortgage payment is about $4,700 a month, and you're collecting $3,000 for $1,700 a month. You are a homeowner building wealth, have all the advantages that no one talks about of the tax write-offs of ownership, which are monumental. And you get to live for less than a quarter of the price. So, lo que estaba diciendo, que lo dije en inglés, es para aquellos que están pensando y quieren vivir en zonas específicas, que mucha gente quiere vivir en ciertas zonas y no llegan a comprar, un duplex en la zona de Hallandale, Dania o Hollywood, están en alrededor de 700, 3/4, 2 años en cada lado. La renta, cuando hagas la oferta para comprar, la renta de una de las unidades la usas como salario. Eso te ayuda a calificar para el préstamo. Las unidades esas se rentan alrededor de $3,000 mensuales, o te quedas con una hipoteca de como 1,500, 1,700 mensuales. Y Chenoy te ayuda a conseguir todo el down payment para comprar la unidad. Lo único que tendrías que pagar es los gastos de cierre. Can I ask the seller for, on top of Chenoy, for seller concessions for closing costs?
Absolutely. Yep. Up to the 6% limits.
6%, yeah.
You still use that as IPC. And if I could add another comment on multi-unit, the maximum loan amounts increase with each unit. So if you're buying a duplex, for example, in our Tri-County area, the FHA limit goes up to $795. So you can still do 3.5% down, up to $795 on a duplex. Triplex, $960 loan amount, and a 4-unit, I believe, goes up to like 1.1.
1,194,250. So $1,194,250 for a fourplex.
Right. So you're buying $1 million fourplex, you're putting 3.5% down, and you're getting the assistance for it.
You're getting the assistance for it, and you can get seller concessions for it.
And can I add something as well?
Yes, please.
And you can get a gift. So if you don't have the money, but a family member does, you can get gift money.
Beg, borrow, or steal.
That's right.
It's wait, there's more. Wait, there's more.
But wait.
Okay. So then, before I let everybody go, because we're running out of time, why isn't everybody taking advantage of this? Why is it that I feel like I'm standing at a soapbox screaming and nobody is taking advantage of this? Is that everybody's just honing one thing and not opening their eyesight? Because I feel that every buyer you talk to, you should sit one of your LOs, CMG LOs with you on a call and explain the different programs. Because I think I don't think buyers are not buying because they don't have the cash. I think buyers are not buying because they're not being educated. That's just my take. Why isn't everybody using this?
Well, every time we do a training, one of the first thing I tell everybody is, you need to call Aniba, Gator, Leo, whoever the loan officer from CMG are using, and you need to sit with them. And I don't know why these people are even able to breathe. They should be so busy with all the agents setting up appointments for them with their potential clients. This cannot be, oh, I heard this, I saw this on Instagram, no. You got to talk to the expert. Look at what Aniba just came up with. That even crossed my mind, but he's 100% correct. He knew that because of his experience that you can even get a gift. You need to sit down with these experts. You're great realtors. You should know about mortgages and financing, but you're not experts. We're not expecting you to be. We're the experts. Let us find a way to get your customer into a home. That's our job.
Okay. All right. I think I have one last question. No, so Maricelda, you're not bothering Leo. Please go ahead, and you have my permission to bother Leo the rest of your life. go ahead and bother Leo, because she was asking if they can put like talking points together on Chenoy so they can have them to sort of when they're doing a buyer's consultation. I will say, yeah, I would say that that's great. I like your initiative of, and if you want to, you can schedule a call with Ruben, and Ruben can help you out. But I highly recommend to put one of them, whenever you have a buyer, one of them in a call with you, and let them be the one that presents it. Because they're gonna know ins and out, like Aniva just threw out there, that we're not gonna know. No matter how much we put on paper, we're not gonna be able to. But go ahead and bother Leo. I don't know if Leo's on the call, but you have my permission to bother Leo all day long.
Ernesto,
Leo's gonna now.
Una
Go ahead.
última pregunta. Si una persona tiene una propiedad, tiene ya un equity suficiente para comprar esa propiedad y quiere, por ejemplo, con el dúplex, ¿funcionaría igual? ¿El ingreso del extra le sumaría a esa persona? Porque no está calificando por su ingreso personal. O sea, tiene equity en su casa, pero su ingreso personal no le califica. Le falta un poco. ¿Ahí sumaría ese segundo para un second home?
Bueno, acuérdate que estamos hablando específicamente, podemos analizar ese caso, Jazz. Eso de nuevo, hay que analizar el caso completo, a ver qué tipo de ingresos sí tiene, qué tipo de ingresos podemos buscar de la segunda unidad. De nuevo, esto estamos hablando que ellos se tienen que mudar para la propiedad y sí chequean. Okay, no pueden decir, bueno, la voy a comprar con primary y nunca mudarse. Es un problema bien grande si no se mudan. Tienen que normalmente vivir ahí en la propiedad por un año, por lo menos.
No, pero ellos sí ellos están abiertos a mudarse. Lo que el problema es que no tienen o sea, el ingreso que él hace le queda corto para una compra. Pero si le califica con otro ingreso, quizás ahí sí lo puedo push a que a que se pueda hacer ese movimiento.
Claro, y todas las respuestas siempre van a ser específicamente al cliente y la propiedad. Entonces tenemos que analizar el caso completo.
Ok.
Okay, so eso fue todo para mí. Gracias a todos aquellos que participaron. I want to really thank everybody that jumped in. I think everybody was kind of sad that they felt Hometown Heroes was gone. I think this is Hometown Heroes on steroids. And everybody should take advantage of today's presentation and reach out to any of the CMG team and ask any questions you have. If you didn't want to do it here, you want to do it personally, but their Hometown Heroes, it might be gone for now, but there are better options available. And I think is us understanding them and getting and working as a tag team, as a wrestling tag team to make sure that we can assist these buyers. Ruben, best way to reach you?
Yeah, again, and just call me and we'll kind of go over the situation you have. I'll set you up with one of the LOs. Best way to reach me is on my cell phone, 954-661-2790. Call me, text me. I return all my calls, and I definitely return all my text. And before we go, we just got to make sure that everybody sees this today. Very important day today, guys. Okay.
Go Bills.
Who said go Bills?
No,
I'm sorry.
the New Yorker.
Listen, you will be blacklisted from Ask the Lender ever if you repeat it again.
Yo les presto mi parqueo si vienen por acá.
Oh.
I can't talk about my team because they're so bad, so I have to root for something. I'll root for Miami, I guess.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. There, like always, there's a lot of training, a lot of coaching, a lot of stuff taking part here at Canvas. Get plugged in. Get off the silent and get plugged in. Don't be embarrassed to ask questions. If you need assistance, there's plenty of people to help you. Pick up the phone and call one of us. If you have a prospective buyer, a prospective seller, and I don't know what to do, don't shy away from it. You have an entire team on real estate, teams on mortgage, and teams on titles that have questions. Oh, wait, Irina had a question. Go, Irina.
Yeah, hi everyone. Sorry, it's to Ruben a question. It's not a question, like a suggestion. Do we have, maybe you have it already, Ruben, a kind of one page, like a matrix with the most important, like a name of the program and most important like requirements. So for us, it's so easy would be to get to the client and say, because clients are not knowledgeable about loans, And it's for us also, we're not expert, as you say, I agree, to explain them all details, but a kind of sketch to give them visual, that would be so helpful. I don't know if you have it already, maybe.
What I'll do is better than that. I'll have Aníbal meet with you in Weston. And Aníbal, are you there? Did we lose Aníbal?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, so why don't you set up a one-on-one with Irina, and that way you guys can put together
awesome.
a little roadmap. I think like a little roadmap to follow.
Remember, guys, that there's just so many options. You know,
exactly. I'm
so
talking
many,
about
it's
the most useful, like at least few, just to show them that there are so many possibilities. So look at this one. This is the special down payment assistance. You have to need this. This is a conventional loan, so you can qualify better for, I don't know, for a single home instead of.
Right.
So you have need this, but we do have so many other programs that we can adjust to your needs. That's it. But it will be more convincing for the client. So he see exactly the numbers. He says, oh yeah, it's true. It's a lot of stuff there. I don't know. It's just my idea.
No, we'll come up with something. I mean, we do have it on the agency stuff already.
I'm sure
done,
you have,
But
to make it
and
easy.
again, going back to the specifics, I mean, we had a program now in Hallandale that was giving them $100,000. We haven't even talked about that, right? But your client has to want to live in Hallandale. You know, and the reality is it's a process, and we've done them, and that's why it's almost like we have to tailor make what we have available to us for the customer. So we really need you guys to really introduce us to your customer as part of the team. Yeah.
It's just, you understand, the customers, they're so careful. They're like, it's so it's not easy to get their permission, right? And their trust. So that's why I like think about all ways how to get to them.
Yeah. Well, however you can, however we can help, you know, let us know.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Irina, for that last question. Guys, stay productive, stay involved. Like I said, a lot of stuff going on, and go Dolphins.
Go Dolphins.
Go Dolphins.
Thank you.
Thanks for having